Breaking news out of the NFL. The Chicago Bears are staring down a must-win battle against the Detroit Lions, and the pressure couldn't be higher. After collapsing late against Minnesota, the Bears now face a Detroit team that just got embarrassed by the Green Bay Packers. Both squads come into this matchup desperate, and the loser? They'll be staring at an 0-2 start that could crush playoff hopes before the season even takes off. But before we dive into all the details of this critical NFC North showdown, make sure to subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a single update. We're bringing you the fastest, most hard-hitting Bears coverage right here. Now, let's get into it. Detroit enters this game as a 5.5-point favorite, with the over/under set at 47.5 points. On paper, the Lions are the stronger team, but the timing may work in Chicago's favor. Detroit looked lost offensively in their opener without offensive mastermind Ben Johnson. Meanwhile, the Bears had every chance to finish off Minnesota last week but failed to put the game away, eventually getting steamrolled in the fourth quarter by J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings. This week? No more excuses. The Bears have a golden opportunity to steal momentum back and silence the critics. Because let's face it, an 0-2 start is a death sentence in the NFL. History shows that teams who start with 2 straight losses see their playoff chances plummet. That makes this Sunday more than just a game, it's a statement. And the injury report only adds more tension. As of Thursday, Kyler Gordon and Grady Jarrett did not practice. Their status for Sunday looms large, and we'll be tracking it closely. The Bears' injury list remains a roller coaster, and it could heavily shape Sunday's outcome. Roschon Johnson was limited with a foot injury. Chicago could desperately use him back in the rotation to stabilize that running back group. Rookie Jade Walker is also banged up with an ankle, another depth concern. Linebacker TJ Edwards is battling a hamstring issue, and while Noah Sewell filled in admirably last week, his coverage limitations were obvious. Having Edwards back on the field would be a huge boost. In the secondary, Josh Blackwell might be called upon if Kyler Gordon can't go, while veteran Nick Mollard was also limited. The good news? DJ Moore is fully cleared, and Jalen Johnson has confirmed he plans to play. That's a sigh of relief for a defense already walking a thin line. On the Detroit side, all eyes are on left tackle Taylor Decker. Despite not practicing yet this week due to a painful shoulder, the Lions expect him to gut it out. If he's limited or sidelined, that's a massive crack in Detroit's protection scheme. Rookie linebacker Jack Campbell returned to full practice and looks ready, while Terrion Arnold and Daniel Thomas are also good to go. But beyond injuries, there's a storyline you can't ignore: Ben Johnson's return to Ford Field. The former offensive coordinator is back, but this time on the opposite sideline. Reporters grilled him about the emotions, but his response was cold and focused. "My mind is going to be on winning the football game, on finding our first victory of the season. It's a tough environment, one of the strongest home field advantages in the league. We'll have our work cut out for us, but we'll learn a lot about ourselves." And he's right. Ford Field has transformed into one of the loudest, most hostile stadiums in the NFL. On Sunday, it won't just be a game, it'll be a test of grit, composure, and who wants it more. When Ben Johnson walks into Ford Field on Sunday, it won't be a warm welcome. Lions star Amon-Ra St. Brown made it crystal clear, saying, "As soon as Ben walks in there, we're booing him. I don't care, he's getting booed." That tells you everything about the atmosphere that awaits him. Dan Campbell himself added fuel to the fire, declaring, "We're going to win this game. We have to." Now, Campbell and Johnson have history, and by all accounts, mutual respect. But let's be honest, there's a sting here. Ben didn't just take another job, he chose to stay inside the division. He chose Chicago. He wanted the challenge of going toe-to-toe with his old team twice a year. That decision still cuts deep in Detroit. And because of that? Expect the Lions to come out swinging. They're far too talented to look as flat as they did against Green Bay. This game means more than just avoiding an 0-2 start, it's personal. It's a chance for Detroit to prove they're bigger than one man. For Chicago, it's a chance to spoil the reunion and plant a flag in the NFC North race. Anything less than their absolute best, and the Bears could be staring at a long, punishing afternoon. So let's break down where the edge lies, category by category. Head coach, this one's clear. Dan Campbell has transformed Detroit from a league afterthought into a legitimate contender, even reaching the NFC Championship last season. Ben Johnson, meanwhile, is still writing the opening pages of his head coaching career. Advantage, Lions. Quarterback, Jared Goff didn't look sharp in Week 1, but he's a proven veteran with a steady hand. Caleb Williams has the raw talent to outshine him on any given Sunday, but until he proves it consistently, the edge belongs to Goff and Detroit. Skill players, this one's closer. The Lions' backfield is deeper, no question, but Chicago's receiving weapons, especially with DJ Moore healthy, can swing momentum in a heartbeat. Call it even here. When you start stacking these rosters side by side, the picture gets interesting. At the skill positions, the Bears bring real depth. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Zaccheaus give Chicago multiple reliable options, while tight ends Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett make this one of the more balanced receiving groups in the conference. Detroit counters with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, plus rookie Isaac Tesla and tight end Sam Laporta, who is already proving he belongs. Both sides have weapons, and this one feels even. In the trenches, it's closer than many would expect. The Bears' offensive line, often criticized in years past, held its ground better than predicted in Week 1. Darnell Wright stood tall, and Joe Thuney played at a high level. Detroit, meanwhile, still has question marks on the interior, where Jonah Jackson and Drew Delman showed cracks. For now, both units sit in that above-average, but not elite category, another push. Defensive line is where the Lions shine brightest. Aiden Hutchinson is the most disruptive player on either team, and his presence alone tilts the scales. That said, Chicago is no slouch. Rookie Jervin Dexter flashed in the opener, Montez Sweat brings constant pressure, and if Grady Jarrett is active, that interior gets mean. Still, edge dominance gives Detroit the slight edge. Linebackers lean Detroit as well. Jack Campbell and Alex Anzalone form a steady duo, though Campbell's health could turn this into more of a toss-up. For Chicago, TJ Edwards' hamstring looms large. Without him, the gap widens. In the secondary, things level out again. Detroit's safety play is stronger, but Chicago counters with corners who can hold their own assuming health cooperates. It's strength against strength, weakness against weakness, which leaves this one dead even. And finally, special teams. Chicago was a mess in Week 1. Cairo Santos missed a kick, nearly missed another, Torrey Taylor's punts lacked impact, and the coverage units leaked yardage. It was a far cry from last season's consistency. Detroit, by comparison, looked sharper and more stable. Clear advantage, Lions. When you add it all up, something stands out. Chicago doesn't own a single uncontested advantage in this matchup. The gaps aren't huge, but across the board, Detroit edges them out more often than not. That raises the stakes even higher for Sunday. The Bears can't just play good enough. They'll need to be sharper, tougher, and more disciplined if they want to flip the script. On paper, there's no denying it, Detroit looks like the stronger team. They won 15 games last year, reached the NFC title game, and have more proven depth across the board. But here's the catch, this isn't the same Lions squad. New coordinators, shaky execution in Week 1, and the lingering noise around Ben Johnson's return all create a window of opportunity. The question is, can Chicago climb through it? For the Bears to pull off the upset, it starts with the ground game. Last week, Chicago ranked dead last in rushing success rate, just 19%. That's a formula for disaster, especially when you're asking a rookie quarterback to carry the entire load. DeAndre Swift needs to set the tone, and Ben Johnson has already hinted that Kyle Madungai could see more touches to spark the backfield. However they do it, the Bears must run the ball with purpose. Because here's the truth, Caleb Williams is immensely talented, but he's still adjusting. If the Bears abandon balance and force him to drop back 40 times against Aiden Hutchinson and that Detroit front, it could turn ugly fast. Establishing the run doesn't just open lanes, it buys Caleb time, rhythm, and confidence. Sunday's game won't just be about X's and O's. It's about resilience. The Bears are facing a divisional rival in one of the NFL's loudest stadiums, against a team desperate to prove they're still the kings of the North. If Chicago wants to rewrite the story of this season, this is where it begins, on the road, backs against the wall, fighting to avoid an 0-2 start that could sink playoff hopes before they've even taken shape. Here's the reality, Caleb Williams can make highlight plays, but he's not yet ready to shoulder this entire offense by himself. We saw the flashes against Minnesota, throws that only a handful of quarterbacks in the league can make. But we also saw the inconsistency. The best way to calm a young quarterback down is simple, lean on the run game. If Chicago can generate steady yards on the ground, everything else gets easier. Minnesota bottled them up, but Detroit's front isn't as stout against the run. This is where Ben Johnson has to stay patient. Even if early carries don't break big, sticking with it keeps the defense honest and gives Caleb a fighting chance. The second key? Accuracy. Too many clean pocket misfires in week 1. Williams started sharp 10 completions in a row, but then unraveled, hitting only 11 of his final 25 attempts. That steep drop-off can't happen. He finished tied for 31st in completion percentage over expectation. That's not just about arm talent, that's footwork, rhythm, and focus. He doesn't need to be flawless, but trimming those misses in half changes the entire complexion of the offense. Incremental growth is the name of the game. And then there's the defensive line. If Chicago wants to walk out of Ford Field with a win, the interior has to dominate. Green Bay wrote the blueprint last week, holding Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery to just 44 yards on 20 carries. Replicating that exactly might be unrealistic, but limiting chunk gains is essential. Rookie Jervin Dexter showed flashes, but veterans like Andrew Billings have to step up. Too often in week 1, he was pushed off his spot. That can't happen against a Detroit interior that is still trying to find its footing. Their new guard-center guard trio looked shaky, struggling both in pass protection and in the run game. If Chicago's front can collapse the pocket and clog the lanes, suddenly Jared Goff looks a lot less comfortable. This isn't just about talent, it's about execution. Win in the trenches, stay balanced on offense, and keep your rookie quarterback steady. That's the formula to turn a hostile environment into an opportunity. Here's the hidden key: Jared Goff looks sharp when he's comfortable, but when you get him off his spot, the whole Lions offense changes. Against Green Bay, Detroit gave up 9 pressures, and if Chicago's interior can add to that, the ripple effect is massive. Goff isn't built to scramble. When he's forced to move, his accuracy plummets and sacks follow. Pressure doesn't just disrupt, it ends drives. And every stalled Lions drive means another chance for Caleb Williams and the offense. But pressure alone won't win the game. Discipline matters just as much. Last week, Chicago sabotaged itself with pre-snap penalties, 4 false starts in the first half alone. That's not just frustrating, that's drive-killing football. You march down the field, then suddenly you're behind the sticks because of mental mistakes. On the road in Detroit, the margin for error shrinks even further. Silent counts should help, but at some point it's about focus and composure. And finally, the big picture. On paper, the Lions have the stronger roster. That's just reality. But football isn't played on paper. It's played in the margins, in the adjustments, in the matchups where coaching can tip the balance. If Matt Eberflus and his staff can out-scheme Detroit, they give themselves a real shot to pull off an upset in a hostile stadium. So here it is: pressure Goff, play clean, and outthink a more talented opponent. That's the blueprint. Execution will decide whether Chicago leaves Ford Field with a statement win or just another lesson in a long season. Here's where coaching really comes into play. Ben Johnson has already proven himself as one of the brightest offensive minds in football, and Dennis Allen is cut from the same cloth defensively. Compare that to Detroit, where John Morton and Kelvin Shepard are still finding their footing as first-time coordinators. Week 1, the Lions' offense looked flat, almost vanilla. That's where the Bears might have their edge, not through star power, but through strategy. Out-scheming the opponent can close the roster gap, and on that front, Chicago has the brains to match Detroit's brawn. Now comes the part everyone wants: the score prediction. 2 desperate teams, both sitting at 0-1, colliding in a game that already feels like it will shape the season's tone. My gut says this one stays close, but right now, trust is earned, not given. The Bears had their chances last week, and they didn't cash in. Detroit, on the other hand, has the home crowd, the urgency, and just a little more proven firepower. I've got the Lions pulling it out, 27-21. Not a blowout, not a collapse, just a hard-fought loss that leaves Chicago searching for answers at 0-2. And listen, nothing would make me happier than to be wrong. If the Bears walk into Ford Field and flip the script, we'll all remember where we were when it happened. But for now, the stage is set: Bears versus Lions, 2 teams with everything to prove, and only one will walk away with their season back on track.